Welcome to the Planner Pals podcast, a podcast hosted by two true Planner Pals. I'm Jess or Jashi Curran.
Hey there, my name is Mark and I go by Mark Your Pages, and we're back for another fantastic episode of the Planner Pals podcast, where I can't wait to talk about today's topic as we're wrapping up the year, talking about some of our favorite things that we've had this year. And we're going to kind of have fun with this. We're going to talk about three favorites, but we always have to throw in the thing that's like not working for us very well. And I'm always interested to hear just like what's not working for you, because we so often talk so much about like the things that we love, unless it's like something you really disdain. I don't feel like we usually hear very much about like what's not working, because people usually like the positivity.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I find that oftentimes things that aren't working for me just like don't last in my collection very long. So the window to talk about them is quite narrow. Whereas the things that are working, I'm just like, oh my God, I want to rave about this. I want to tell everybody. Everybody should get on and use these things. And I'm very eager to hear about what your favorites are. So kicking off, what would be one of your favorite things from the year?
Well, I think the coolest thing I got to use this year was my notebook, the marked notebook that I partner along with Archer and Olive on this year. This was a dream thing to be able to do, to be able to design a notebook and really include like all my fun things that I wanted as a part of it. I think my favorite part that I got to use in there this year, I called them the smart marks, which actually just allows you to easily find the center of your page, both horizontally and vertically, as well as breaking your pages up into thirds or halves as well, right? And that was just something this year that just was so easy. I appreciate there's other notebooks that do it. I'm definitely not the first person in the world to think about doing this, but to be able to include that inside of a notebook, page numbers as well, kind of all the things that I'm like, Archer and Olive, if you want to create a perfect notebook, this is what it is. And then to be able to put that out was pretty amazing. And then to use it, and then as soon as I started using it, I was like, crap, I should have saved one of every single size. This is probably not something that I'm going to be able to do again, at least that I can think of in the immediate future. So I felt like, oh, I should keep it in every size and like maybe put it in a frame and put it up in my office, because like that's such an achievement. So it's been very cool to be able to use it this year and just feel really happy. Like every time I open my notebook, I'm like, I designed that cover, and I'm like using the little grids, and I was like, I opened another Archer and Olive the other day and they aren't there. I'm like, wait, where are they? Oh, that's right. They were only a part of the notebook that I designed. They should really do that more often.
No, I think there's something very special about like using something that you helped create in that way, which I mean, if you think about, bullet journaling, DIY planning and such, yeah, we did like have a hand in it. We created the layouts for ourselves. We set them up the way we wanted to, and now we're using them. But the actual kind of like notebook or like product itself, having the hand in being able to bring that to the real world, very exciting. I have still got mine looking pristine, looking fresh, sitting on the very attractive notebook shelf, because I'm like, no, I can't use this. It's one of a kind. It's too special. But also the thing that gets me about your notebook is that like you have the perfect name for making a notebook.
Well, I know what's really funny about it is that the marked name, when I was trying to think of like what to call it, I wasn't sure. A buddy of mine said it in passing as like a joke. He was like, well, clearly it's the marked notebook. You mark your pages, it's there. And I was like, I didn't think about that. And then same thing with the smart marks. I was like, oh, it has these, symbols in it, whatever. He's like, so smart marks. I mean, that just makes sense. And I was like, dude, you get all the credit. So I bought him like 2 different notebooks. I'm like, this is like your finder's fee. Like you get this. This is special. And I totally gypped it and was like, yeah, this is what it's called. I came up with smart marks. I came up with the mark notebook. It just made sense. Yeah, it was really special. It still is special. I was like thinking still about like what notebook I'm using next, because I still haven't decided which notebook I'm using next. I was like, I think it just makes sense for you to use the square version of this. And I was like, but I don't have any more. Like after that, it's gone. So I'm thinking about something different, maybe just because I have, 99 plus other notebooks that are there. But the smart marks really made it, gotta say.
Yeah, I think that those little kind of like accessibility features and such in notebooks can just be super helpful. And, if you're the type of person who is consistently dividing your page in those, dimensions or whatnot, having that little reference there can just save you. I mean, like, sure, counting out the numbers from like, 1 to 13 or something, if you're on an A5, does it take that long? No. But if you don't have to do it, all of those little bits and pieces add up. If you're in your flow state of setting up your journal or whatnot, you're not going to disrupt that by having to do math, even if the math is just counting.
What's funny is that I relied on those marks so much this year that I actually forgot how many normal spaces there are. So in all my previous notebooks, I would have, I called it like a cheat grid sheet. And in the back of my notebook, I would draw out the most common grid spacing sizes that I used. And the other day I was like, oh, I need to create, X, Y, or Z. And I opened up the back of my notebook and I was like, it's not here. I was like, why did I make that? And I was like, that's right, because the most common sizes are in here. And I actually went back to like a previous page and got out another one of my favorite items, which I'll talk about as well, and like measured out the spaces in the boxes. And I was just like, oh, that's right. And then I instantly forgot it. Like I will never remember it. Like I made it too easy to use that I didn't have to think about like the normal spacing as well. So my next notebook will likely not have that. So I'll have to create that cheat sheet again for myself, which I'm excited about doing because I love setting them up, but also like I'm glad I made it easier for people because that's really all what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I find that anytime I do set up a grid spacing reference or whatnot, as soon as it's set up, I'm like, cool, I've committed that to memory. I'm never going to look at this page again. Or I don't trust past me to have done it correctly, so I just count things out anyways. I'm like, no, no, no. Past you is just as much of a persnickety biscuit. She was making that list, counting it twice, all of that type of a thing. It was going to be perfectly fine. But no, I wouldn't rely on it. So I'm like, no, no, no. Every single time, I'll just count out my numbers. But with working in the same sizes repeatedly, I'm pretty familiar with the ones that I like, especially in terms of like column dividing, because typically when I'm writing out my to-do lists and such, I do prefer to use 2 columns per page. So it's like, okay, yeah, in a B6, it's 5 centimeters across. In your A5, it's 6 centimeters across. Both of those has a 1 centimeter gap between them because we like to have a little bit of a buffer. But as soon as I'm in like, I don't know, a B5 or a square nowadays, it's like, okay, gotta do the conversions, like quick math in my brain to make sure that I can commit that to memory and make sure my dimensions aren't all like skew with cattywampus the entire notebook, because that would be a bummer.
Well, my favorite thing about the square notebooks is that it's the same horizontally as it is vertically. So you really technically only have to use a page on it, which is like, I love being able to save pages in a square notebook because I love it so much. But let's go into your next one. Jess, what's one of your favorite items from this year?
So this year I kind of decided that a long-standing goal of mine, okay, the long-standing goal was like, oh, I really want to learn how to do lettering. I really want to learn how to do calligraphy. I want to be able to make those really beautiful, gorgeous headers that people have in their journals. And given the fact that I've been saying it as long as I have and haven't really done anything about it, it's like, do you though? Do you want to do that? Do you want to commit the time, effort, and energy to learn those things? And I think that this year I kind of just came to the realization that it's like, maybe we just let that dream go. Maybe that dream was like a past previous version of you who really was into that kind of thing. And nowadays you've got other aspirations when it comes to your creativity. So one of the things that has very much helped this year in terms of still getting the kind of aesthetic or cool looking lettering without actually having to learn how to do the letter forms yourself is printing headers for my journal. So going onto a font website, like free font website like defont.com or 1001 fonts, and just kind of finding something that I like the look of, typing all of my headers out and printing them off. But if you're printing that on regular paper, not only then do you have to cut them out, which, yes, I have a Cricut, but I don't know how to use it, and eventually I'll learn, but not today, okay? But not only do you have to cut them out, you then have to stick them in, and sticking in a whole bunch of headers for like all of the days of the month, plus all of your collections, plus all of your like mini collections or anything like that. Not the business. So my favorite supply from this year has got to be sticker paper, in particular vellum or like washi sticker paper, because I like that it doesn't give you this really harsh outline like if you were printing on a white matte paper, where like if you print on a white matte paper and you're keeping it as white matte paper, I just end up being a little bit more particular, just a little bit fussy about how I'm cutting those headers out so they have a very kind of equidistant border around the entire of the letter forms and such. I ain't got time for that. I'm a busy person. There's a reason I didn't learn calligraphy. I'm not now going to have to learn how to use my Cricut or cut things out with scissors so precisely. So I rather just use the vellum because it blends into the page a lot nicer. I can be a little bit skew if a little cattywampus with the cutting things out, and it doesn't actually matter as much. Blends in nicely. I get the pretty letter forms, and I didn't have to write any of them myself.
You just triggered a part of my college brain when you said defont.com, because that was like the #1 site in design school that we would all go to find like whatever font we needed for it. I missed that font place because I would use it so often. And I feel like now that I've learned so much more about it and like using things more publicly in a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, especially like I can't use it at work because it's all licensed or whatever. It's a different world. I mean, in school was totally fine. And now even if I do stuff for like my wife or school or something, I'd be like, maybe we don't go and do that because there's uses rights for it. But I think personally for yourself though, when it's not for a business or just for your notebook or whatever, like totally fine. But it was just so funny to hear you say that because I haven't thought about that website in so long. I would just wanted to say with the stickers, you know, something that I've tried myself is using that. And I think it also does depend when you said like the washi type or like the vellum because it's thinner. I think we even put some of that thicker sticker paper, even though it's not horrible, but like if you get like a weird light, you can't, because it drops like a shadow onto your page sometimes. And you're just like, wait a second, did I write on there? I do something wrong? Like finding that really nice thin paper that can fit on there to almost make it feel like it's a part of your page is really important. I haven't tried it myself. And I was thinking this too. How dangerous in the world would we be, Jess, if we actually learned how to use our Cricut machines, like fully? I think that we would just be like the most dangerous people in the world if we just, you know, took 30 minutes to learn.
I know, like full potential unlocked, big brain energy type thing. Because yeah, I'd be unstoppable. That being said, I have used it to make labels for like my, I don't know, kitchen containers or whatnot on the vinyl kind of, you know, I was going to say the vinyl paper. No, not the vinyl paper, just the vinyl. But cut those out, stuck those on. I'm like, excellent, my work here is done. And then my mum asked, oh, can you do some for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. Cannot remember how I did that. That's a future big problem. Sorry, mum.
I think I only used it like once or twice when I was big into like the distressed oxide inks and stuff. I was like, I have a machine that can make these stencils versus me buying them. And I just remember like trying to find the right thickness of it and cutting them out. And then I was like, well, great. Now I have all these things. I like literally learned how to cut out one thing. And I was like, Mark, maybe next you'll learn how to make your own stickers. Like that would be really cool to do. And then I was like, nope, looks too difficult. On to the next thing, something totally different. Like, no, I'm not going to do that today.
The thing that I get with using the Cricut to like, you know, cut out stickers, print the stickers, whatever, is that it requires this really large border around the outside of the actual print area. And I'm the type of person who like when it comes to my sticker paper, I'm very like, hoard it like a dragon. We need to make sure we use every tiny little available piece of space on this to print things off. So when I make my sticker sheets, I'm using like corner to corner, edge to edge, like barely any space around the outside wherever possible. So in trying to, you know, marry that preference with using the Cricut, who's like, yes, your margin must be 5 centimeters around the outside. Okay, not that bad, but like kind of that bad. It just makes me feel like I'm being very wasteful with my sticker paper. And sure, it's a consumable resource. Like, there's always going to be a little bit of waste, but I just don't think I'm ready to kind of bite the bullet on that level of quote waste for myself.
I know how you feel. I have one of those lean photo printers, but it's a sticker cutter as well. So like it prints out the photo, but then you can automatically put the cut marks around it. Makes it so easy. But the same thing, I'll be like, well, I can't fit two of these on here because it's only like a 4x6 piece of like sticker paper, but I'll print out one thing and I have this whole other sheet. And I was just like, what else can I add? I don't like that. I'm like really honestly feeling like I'm wasting it as well. I'm right there with you. I just feel like I want to use every little bit of something like that, especially when you like it so much. But I think you've mentioned before, like one of the things you decluttered was your extra sticker scraps saving space, right? Because you soon realized you don't need to save all of it because you're not going to actually use it.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, because I've recently, given the fact that it's a favorite supply, right, you know, I've been using it a lot, and also just like regular matte sticker paper as well, especially for book covers for the reading journal. I was printing something off the other day and made a mistake in my journal, and instead of going to my stash of sticker offcuts that I have, I went and fished it out of the bin because it was right next to me. I'm like, Jessica, it's like 5 steps. Go to your collection, get the ones that you specifically saved for this purpose. I'm like, you're not my manager. You can't tell me what to do. So I went dumpster diving for it instead. It's fine. The mistake is fixed. The mistake is covered now, but like, choices. Now, I did take a little snoop at your list as I was making mine because you were like so onto it. This time you're like, nope, I've got my list. I know exactly what I love and I have my ones that I don't like and whatnot. And I'm sitting here just like, I don't know. So I kind of made a short list for myself, then realized that your number 2 was one of the ones I'd written down. So I'm like, okay, scrap that. Let Mark have his moment with this. But go on. What's the second favorite item?
Wah, wah, wah. It's my Archer and Olive B5 size ruler that I only use to measure out how many boxes are on my pieces of paper. I rarely ever use the other side or any of the stencils in the middle. This was really cool because I think this came inside of a subscription box, right? The B5 size one. It was an instant love because it works for every single notebook. So if it works in a B5, that means it works for a square and works for everything below it. Because the stencils they had before were for like A5 size, right? And so you're like, okay, but then I have to like scooch my ruler over to get the rest of my line if I'm using it or whatever it might be. And I just didn't really love that. And so this has been the best. The quality of this one was also much better. Like the very first one we got, I think was just like cracking all along the lines. I think that was in a subscription box, like one of the very first ones as well when we got it. And they've had so many iterations of these rulers over time too. Like I personally didn't love the wooden ruler that they had. I think that was also in a subscription box. Wasn't my deal. The plastic ones are great. The metal ones, nah. But like this one has just been so fetch. It's just been awesome to have and just use, and I use it all the time. Kind of exactly like you said. Like I already have the measurements inside of my journals, but it's just so easy to go. And I just actually removed 3 other rulers from my art cart because I always grab this one because it does everything that I needed to do. I was like, why do you need 3 other types of rulers along with this one if you just have the one that works? So this has just been my go-to for everything. I use it all the time. I'm going to be experimenting in another journal that isn't dot grid, but it's gridded. And I was still like, well, I still need to know how many grid spaces there are in between my columns and rows. And luckily it was a 5 millimeter grid, and just makes me so happy to know that like it's going to work out and it's going to be the tool that I just keep using. I mean, eventually I'll probably use some of the other things inside of here, but for right now, I'm all about just this top section that measures boxes from 1 to 46.
No, I 100% agree. Because when I got that subscription box that came with the B5 size, I genuinely considered getting rid of it because I'm like, oh, I don't use a B5. Why would I need this? Foolish, Jessica, because it is one of my most used supplies. I absolutely love it. I don't know if they've actually released the B5 size on the shop. I don't think so, eh? But one of the things that I really value about the B5 one that we've got is that the side is smooth. There is no notch in the middle of it, because that was one of the
Yes.
things that kind of, if I had it, it would irk the ever loving heck out of me. But on the A5 version, the one that they most recently released, I don't know if they've fixed it since then, it had a notch in the side of the ruler at the midway point, which I love the idea of having a marking for the midway point because they've got that on the B5. Not that I use it because I don't use a B5 size journal, but it is there. But if you're trying to use it as a ruler, having a notch in it means that you don't end up with a straight line. You end up with like, what is that, like curly bracket? You end up with like a really long version of a curly bracket.
Yeah, it is not my favorite. I'm in the same exact mode. I totally forgot because I think one of them also had like 2 divots in it, right? You have the big one in the center. I think it had 2 small ones on the end, maybe even. But you're right. Like if you weren't paying attention, you would go and just be like, "Meh, and then you're like road bump. It's like crap, like divot in the ground, and then you're like, crap. Well, I just ruined my page, or you would mark it out, and then you have to flip the ruler over to the flat side to use it. Yeah, the marks on these are so much better. I still don't pay attention to the marks because just like you, like I'm always just like, well, is this right? Or I don't need it exactly there. Or you're in a square or A5, you're like, this just works. Because I was same deal. Like I have a really long ruler because that was the other thing. Even the A5s, like they fit within the squares, but they didn't cover your whole page. So like if you really wanted to go across your page or fully down your page, you had to like move your ruler, and it never is a straight line whenever I do that. So I always had this like extra long ruler, but this works out great because I can make it work. It really is. It seems like such a simple thing, but like that quality of life, like good quality thing that you're using makes such a big difference in your day-to-day planning. It's going to be in use for a very long time. I hope they come out with it on the shop soon. That's one of those things that I feel like they should definitely, if they haven't already. Now I feel like a bad Archer and Olive fan. Like I feel like I should know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they haven't had the B5 one, but I do really love it. I also love that along with the grid spacing you've got, like with the numbers and such, you also have the half box marks because that can be quite useful, especially if you're working in a journal size that requires you to divide a half line there, if that's the kind of dimensions you're going for. One of the things that does irk me about it though is that when you flip it over and you've got the centimeter markings, they're not using millimeters. You've like Americanized the metric system politely rack off, because no, I don't want a quarter of a centimeter. I want 10 individual millimeters in my Unit 10 system, please. So I went to use this the other day. I say the other day. The other day could be anywhere from like last week to like 3 years ago. So grains of salt here. The other day, I went to use this to measure something out, and I'm like, why are all my measurements so janky? Why is everything so off? And that's because they look like millimeters to the naked eye, and then you go and count the spaces, and there's 8 of them instead of 10. But other than that, I love this ruler.
I've never realized that. I just always assumed that it was just because if you have centimeters, millimeters make up centimeters. So that would just make sense. So I apologize for all United States non-metric system users.
It just irks me. It irks the ever-loving heck out of me. But that's okay, because typically speaking, if I'm using this one, it is just for that grid spacing. So no harm, no foul. But
Yeah.
I'm not very impressed with that.
Yeah. Well, so when they come out, everyone, you have to get it. It's really, I mean, any type of journal that works. You know, the one thing though, Jess, that this does do, it will call out a journal paper if they are not equal distances. I was measuring something the other day, and for the first maybe 10 or so boxes, it was lined up. And then after that, it slowly got off mark. And I was like, what is this garbage paper that I'm using right now? Like, where is this from? Who do I have to call? I'm about to make a video about this, because can you imagine like getting halfway through like a page and then suddenly like it's off, and you're like looking at it and you're thinking, is it me? Like, did I miss a spot, or like something's not quite right? And you go back and realize it's the dot grid on the paper that's the problem and not you.
Especially when you have materials that are made to fit a 5 millimeter grid. Like if you're working in a notebook that has a 4 millimeter grid and like that's their thing, that's a different kettle of fish. What we're talking about here is when they say on the packaging, like, oh yeah, my dot grid channel's 5 millimeters. It's perfect. It's gorgeous. And you're like, haha, no, it's not. You're skew of cattywampus jankiness, and I don't want to use you anymore because now all of my measurements are just enough off that I can see it, and it irks me. I don't love it when, like, this is a complete aside. Similar idea is when you have a dot grid that doesn't line up across 2 separate pages, and you're trying to make a layout where like one line goes the whole way across. So you're like, do I just ignore the dot grid and rule through? Do I like break the line in the middle of the spread and then have them like on completely different playing fields? What do I do here? Similar things. Ugh.
Go Wild, I think we got a notebook like that, and it reminded me of like a flip book, because you were going through it and just looked like the lines were dancing on the pages. You were flipping through the pages, and I was like, and I will never use this journal ever in my entire life. Like, I cannot do that. It's okay. I mean, sometimes I know bindings are a little bit off, or it's like slightly different, but when it is like a significant visible jump, I don't feel, again, I don't know how to mass produce notebooks, but I have a feeling that you can do a better job with that. It can't be that difficult to make sure that your lines line up.
It's like when it gets to a full row of dot grids away from each other, and you're just like, absolutely not. I can't deal with this.
All right, Jess, what's your next favorite item from this past year?
So one of my biggest struggles this year has been surrounding sticker storage. I found that I was bringing a lot of stickers into my collection, but didn't necessarily have the best way to store them, organize them, present them, so that then future Jess could actually find what she was looking for. So this year, and maybe like the kind of tail end of last year, I was on a quest to figure out the best possible option. I tried a couple different things. They had different merits versus different problems for themselves and such, but I did find a solution for myself this year, and that was using A5 sticker binders, because I love the A5 size. I have a fleet of 5 of them. They are all exactly the same binder. They have a really nice size of ring on the inside, so that then I can fit ample amounts of very thin plastic pockets that then I can slot all of my stickers into. When it came to the plastic pockets, I got a range of sizes because, you know, different sticker sizes, different sticker sheet sizes and such. So having some options to play with depending on what kind of stickers I was trying to store, that was really useful. But I didn't want to have to then go and buy like different binders to sort different size pockets. So all the pockets, like in terms of their dimension, the outer dimension, are the same. They are all very uniform, matchy, and then they just have divisions within those pockets to help me store different things. So I have one that is like a quarter, so it's like divided horizontally and vertically. I have another one that is halves, so that's just divided horizontally, and then one that's just a full A5 pocket, which is really good for those like A5 sticker sheets that you get from different places. But in the fact that I have as many as I do, I knew I needed to have a little bit more organization than just like, here's my fat stack of stickers. So, in having my 5 different binders, I have one that's for everything kind of plant related and nature related, one for inanimate object that is not plant related, because that would go in the plant related one. I have one that's for like sceneries and scapes. So that could be like a landscape, or it could be a building, or even door frames and such. Though I think I might put the door frames in the inanimate object one. But anyway, it's cool. At least I only have 2 places to look as opposed to having to look through the whole stash of stuff. I've got one for characters and one's for something else, something like that. I think it's just called like scrapbooking type things because it's kind of inanimate objects, but they're all made to like look similar to layered papers and whatnot. But just being able to take the swamp of stickers that I had, my very large and ever growing, it seemed, collection, and have a little bit more organization and a system that can still grow. It still has space to put more stuff in it if I want to, and then have like, you know, my back catalog of the plastic pockets so I can just pull those out as I need them. Very peace inducing. Makes Jess very happy. So I'm so pleased to actually have a system now that works for that, because it was getting a little out of hand.
I feel you 100% on this. I actually just did something very similar for flake stickers because I realized I had a lot of flake stickers, and I actually bought something similar to what you're talking about. The pockets were actually for coin collecting. So I think there's maybe 9 individual small pouches, and it also like kind of folds over itself too. And then I was able to kind of distribute a lot of those into those pouches, which I love. The problem is that I didn't do that for my sticker storage because I bought into a company's system, which was a disc bound with like the pull out pages, similar type thing, and it works, but it got very thick very fast. Not something that I thought about, even though I bought like the 3-inch rings for it to like disc bound into or whatever. I realized that I've been mixing disc and rings because I know those are 2 different things, but I say them as if they are the same. But I bought the 3-inch discs and yeah, it's a big guy. And then I was just like, well, how deep do I want to go into this? Because now I'm thinking about what you're talking about, because a lot of the sizes of the stickers, for the most part, are similar to photo pages, right? I'm pretty sure like what you is probably for photo pages. And then you can just kind of pop in what you need. And to your point, which makes a lot of sense too, is then you can like reorganize them. And when you get to a point where you have more than a binder full and you're like, okay, now what do I do? To be able to clip them out and put them in, but know that they're still together makes a lot of sense. So I think that was super smart. I mean, I kind of bought in, I spent the money. So I'm like, this is just going to have to work for now. But I'm really, really loving the binder option too, because similarly, I'm like, okay, where did I put those? Is it in this binder for this solution that I made, or this leaf insert thing that I made for this? I should have just, I probably will just consolidate it down into one, but good for you, Jess, for thinking through it. We both know that I don't think things through like this. Like, I still laugh every time I think about my drawer organization and buying all of it and seeing if it works. And you're like, no, no, no. You go to the store with the piece of paper and you see what fits there. I'm just like, we are 2 different people when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that my stick storage and the solution finding for that, like, it's one of those things that I had to kind of learn as I went. So originally I bought myself some binders for it because I'm like, oh yeah, I think that this could work. I got a couple binders from Archer and Olive that came with these kind of very shiny plastic kind of pockets. But the issue that I had with these, which, okay, let's talk about the benefits of this. I like that it comes out on the side, like it's got a little zipper or whatnot, so you can zip it up or whatnot. So then the stickers can't fall out the top or anything. They actually close. That's nice. But the issue I found with these ones is that these, although they're thin-ish by themselves, as soon as you start to put multiple into one of those binders, the little plastic nubbin that actually closes it, that stacks up really fast. And thus, because they get really thick in that very specific spot, you have to organize the plastic pockets so that some of them unzip downwards and some of them unzip upwards, so that then when they're closed, you have like half of them up and half of them down. And I'm like, absolutely not. I could not handle the jandle. So I decided that that solution didn't really work. But moving to the plastic pockets that are a lot thinner, they all open at the top, so you know exactly where to go to like get your stickers out. They don't have a closing mechanism on it or anything like that, so they're not adding extra bulk in that way. But I'm like, they are binders. I'm primarily storing them vertically on the shelf type of a thing. So if they're all opening at the top, for the most part, the stickers aren't going to fall out. The only time that they might fall out is if I am being particularly aggressive with flipping my pages, or I've like overfilled the bottom section, because then everything in the bottom kind of like fat stack, and then everything at the top is kind of like a little bit like skinny mini. So then you've got that lean going, and things are just kind of like going downhill. You're like, no, my stickers, why?
There has to be some like perfect solution that we just all haven't figured out yet about it, because there's just so many pros and cons to sticker storage when you get into it. It's like someone will say, oh, use those like sticker books, but I'm like, then I have to peel every sticker off to then put it into the book. Yes, it saves space. Yes, it makes it all uniform, but I'm like, using a sticker before the sticker is ready to be used, and in my brain it's like, oh no, now it's not going to stick as well because you unstuck it from its original home into something else. I know that's not true. Maybe it is. I don't know. But there is just so many different sizes, and there's no uniform size. I think that's also the really big thing, and why I like your solution too. Because, like we said, they come in all these different sizes. And instead of trying to buy a system for that one size, you can just make them work inside of what you have. It is hard. I thought about it too. Like, why do they all need to come out of the top? Or some of mine slide in from the side as well to hold on. And I'm thinking like, okay, what's the scenario in which this fails? And most of the time with the top loaded ones is like, if it falls off of my bookshelf when I'm grabbing it. But that doesn't really happen. I have a pretty strong hold on it, but my brain's always like, what if it turns upside down and then every sticker you own flies out all over the floor? Like, I know it's not realistic, but it could happen.
Technically speaking, that was one of the issues that I had in a previous system. So one of the things that I first got when I was trying to organize my stickers was an A4 size, or kind of like almost letter size type folder, because I was thinking, oh yeah, this will be like the one and done, one to rule them all. I'll put everything in here. So it had very large plastic pockets that had either a quarter divide, which was like kind of photo size by that point, or a 6-way divide. And I was like, oh yeah, individual small sticker sets can sit in those. But the problem with the 6 divide is that once you put in a little pack of stickers, that actually bulks up quite a bit, and then they can't be held securely in the folder. So I'd have to very gingerly turn the pages in that one, like make sure that I'm being very careful with it. Otherwise, they would just all splay out the top. You turn a page and then it's like, oh, look, little potion bottle stickers all over my desk now. Yes, that happened multiple times.
It's hard when that happens. You're just like, I'm doing my best to organize all of this, spend the time, do the right thing. And it's just that one little mistake. It's like when static works against you. Like usually, something static clung in there and you're like prying it out. And then other times it's like the opposite, where it's like, get out of here. I don't want you in your little home. Like you're using 2 opposing magnets. You're like, I just want my stickers to be organized, damn it.
Yeah, I know, right? Is that too much to ask for? But I think that the solution I have now has been very peace-inducing, very pleasing. And I think that it's probably, I never want to say it's the final form of my sticker organization, because inevitably I'll find something that irks me just enough to jump ship and do something else. But for now, it is working. What would be your third favorite item?
We know that I couldn't go into any episode without talking about fountain pens, Jess. So I know, right? But this is a pen that I'm going to say, I have to figure out the right way to do this, because people are going to get very excited, and then I feel like they're going to get very not excited about it. So this year I invested into a Waterman Carine. It is a beautiful pen, and it has the coolest looking like integrated nib in it. It writes like a ballpoint pen. Right? A lot of people who don't like fountain pens because they're scratchy or kind of pointy or whatever they are don't like it. But the nib on this actually kind of looks like a ballpoint pen on it, and it writes beautifully. All right, everyone, you hold on, get ready to clutch your pearls. This pen on sale right now is $324. So it's a very expensive pen, because usually it's over a $400 pen.
Mark, that's so much sushi.
It's a lot of sushi. I mean, it's literally like a whole tuna, but it's one of those things where, and I say this, it's hard for me to say this too. Jess and I are going to be doing an episode, just a little preview about overconsumption. Just a little heads up on that in the future. I feel bad when I say it, because I have so many pens, but like I say this, that like if you're going to invest in a pen and you are going to spend a lot of money on a pen, I honestly can full-heartedly say that this would be, in my opinion, one of the best pens to invest in. Would I leave my house? No. Do I take this to work with me when I go to work? No, like this is the pen that literally stays in my office. I have a special pen holder for it when I'm using it because I don't want to like lose it. I lost a dot marker on my desk somewhere earlier today. Just I can't find it. I don't want that to happen to my pen. But this is just one of those pens again where people talk about it. They, everyone does, but I'm the person and too, like many people where I'm like, but I can't spend that much money on a pen, right? Now, I also am in a very special situation where like I get store credit for affiliate sales and stuff like that. So I save up on those. And this was one of those pens where I saved up for quite a long time and hit that. I was like, and now I'm going to get it. And I don't regret it at all. And actually, like now using it, this would be a pen if I was going to buy it for myself, because I've bought more expensive pens than this, believe it or not. But there are, handmade, by people. So I'm like, oh, craftsmanship, I have to, it's fine. But like this is one I would spend that money on because it writes really nicely. It does really feel like a ballpoint pen when you're writing with it. And the design of it is so cool too. Like I'm so used to fountain pens having like the extra thing you screw in. Like this is like integrated into the pen itself. I don't even know how you would ever change it or if you damaged it. Like I don't know what you would do. I'm not even going to think about the negativity. But if you are looking for a pen and you want to like maybe ask for it for the holidays or something, I think this is a really good one. I have a lot of favorite pens, y'all know this, but this has definitely been one of my favorites this year, and I've used it very often, which I can't say for all of my pens because I have a lot.
Yeah, I love the point about, oh, if you damage it, I don't know what you do. I'm like, you would get out an insurance policy on that pen, Mark. Oh my gosh.
I know it's hard when I like really sit back and like say a price of a pen because I have a few pens that cost a lot of money that like a brand has sent me, and I didn't know a lot about them at first. I have one that is amazing. It's made out of titanium, so like it's a nice one. And I remember getting it and I was like, oh, which one is this? I looked it up online and I saw the price and I like laid it very gently back inside of the perfectly like cushion pillowed case that it came into. And I was like, I am not the person to be owning a pen like this or holding this type of pen. Like whoever said trust me with this, but I'm just like, okay now, like it's okay. But it really is like finding those pens that are just like a really good fit. I'm sorry on the price, everyone. I wish I could offer you a pen that costs less that wrote as nice as this pen, but I just haven't come across one. Like it really blew my mind.
Whereas I'm over here just like I like my mark on. It's great. It's not a permanent pen, but it's still pretty good.
I know. That's why I feel bad talking about it. Like I'm always just like, this is my favorite pen. And I'm like, oh, by the way, heads up, you're putting down a car payment to buy this. I'm sorry, but if you have the funds to do so, it's worth it.
Do you want to hear a fun story? I think it'll
Always.
make you happy now as you're sad about the price of your pen and trying to encourage people to spend ridiculous amounts. I'm kidding. But I, as a procrastination tool yesterday, cleaned out Iris. So she's almost ready to accept new ink. She needs to be like fully cleaned out because there's that little gap that's always there. You can't get the last little bit out. But I'm like, I'm gonna suck up black ink into this, so like, does it matter? But yeah, I finally did it.
I'm so proud of you. That make you don't
I
know.
love it though because I was like, there's like the tiniest amount of ink left in there, and I know that you told me about the 2 water cup system or whatever. You suck it up, you spit it out. No, okay, I could do that, but I'm just like, oh, I don't have a water container that I don't mind getting stained, so I just went and used my sink. I'm like, yeah, because that's the solution. Like, let's not stain the water cup. Let's stain the sink. The sink is not stained. It's fine. I'm not that much of an egg. Well, I am that much of an egg, but not this time. So sucking it up, spitting it out, sucking it up, spitting it out. I'm like, oh no, all the TikTok crock. It was so beautiful. But it was like a saga. We kind of washed the nib out and the ink was blue. And then we sucked the water up and spat it out and the ink was green. I'm just like, I didn't know you had so much potential left in you. I'm so sorry. But it's gone now. It's washed down the sink.
That's the fun part about inks. I have an ink that when you write with it, it's like this really nice green color. And then when you dip it in water, it turns the water into like toxic sludge. Like it is the most neon-y, like it looks like something. I don't know if you remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like from back in the day, but like whatever got ooze got all over them, it like turns into that. And I'm like, this looks like something out of like The Simpsons, you know, where I'm like, this is like a cartoon. It's so neon-y, sludgy looking. And I'm sort of like, but that's not the color that comes out of this pen. Like, what's up with this?
Yeah, that was quite interesting for me because I'm like, writing with it on paper, it's this really kind of nice teal green kind of color. So you know that there's going to be blue and green pigments in there. Like that makes sense. But just washing out the nib, it was like aggressively blue. And I was just like, who changed my ink already? This is ridiculous.
All right, Jess. So that was my last favorite thing. Before we go into the things that we weren't as big of fans of this year, what was your third item that you were a big fan of?
So, in terms of favorites, oftentimes it comes from problem solving. It's like, I have a need, I have an issue, what's the solution? And one of the needs or issues that I have had for pretty much as long as I have been journaling is how to lay out my pages, like how to make sure that things fit properly, make sure that then I have the space for decoration and the functional stuff and all of that type of thing. And when I first got started, and for quite a while, I would just pencil things out, measure out the boxes, put in pencil markings for myself, sometimes even scaffold layouts out in full in pencil, and then essentially double the amount of time I have to spend setting it up. It's like, cool, draw it all out in pencil. Now draw it all out in pen. Now wait for the pen to dry. Now erase it. Oh no, you didn't wait long enough. Now everything is smudged. Everything is sadness. But in trying to move away from that kind of system, which would cause me much heartache and pain, I decided that I wanted to start planning my layouts out digitally, because then you can chop and change things, you can move stuff around, you don't have to pencil things in, which means you're not doubling up on that time, and you don't then have to erase the pencil and risk smudging things, because that's not the business. It's not fun. Yes, we have mistake fixes, but it doesn't mean that we want to have to apply them every single time we set up a layout. So what I made for myself was a journal layout planner. It's essentially a document in either Excel or Google Sheets that is sized appropriately so that it has the dimensions of my notebook. And I can effectively make like a digital map for myself in there for how I'm going to set up the layout. One of the things that I also really love is because I'm, more commonly making my titles and headers and such using a typed font rather than doing hand lettering, I can just use that same font on the document to kind of get an appreciation for the spacing and the sizing. Like with this lettering style, will I actually be able to fit my header across the page, or do I need to change the wording? Or do I need to change the sizing of that kind of print off? I can also get a good appreciation for how things are going to look at the end, because it's not just pencil. I can use color. I can put in, sections to say, oh, we're going to ignore this part of the page because you're going to turn it into a Dutch door. We're going to have decoration in this corner. This is roughly the color of that decoration. So we can put in some boxes of color to represent that. So I can get a very good look at what the layout will actually look like once I set it up in my journal, rather than just having some kind of like penciled in scaffolding. It has been a game changer in terms of making sure that I don't like stuff up my spacing. I don't have to erase things as much. I'm saving time with those mistake fixes. And it's made it so that then for those layouts that you do kind of set up repeatedly, or you have kind of a similar structure week to week or month to month, I've got a back catalog of my setups, so I don't have to start from scratch every single time. If I'm doing a monthly review layout, I can just be like, oh, okay, jump back into last month's. What worked about this? This looks good, or I have to tweak these things, but I'm not starting from zero every single time. So that has definitely been a favorite for me.
I absolutely love those resource pages. I found one on my computer that I went through. It was from 2020. It was the last time I touched it. So it'd been a while, and I created it. I was so proud of myself, Jess, because I actually made all of the columns and the rows like 5x5, because I went through and essentially kind of digitized in a way all of the spreads and things that worked for me. And I was like, oh, this will be great. And I put the sizes in between each to do that. Now, where we differ is, even though I know that I've done the math, I know that it fits, I know that it's correct, I can't trust myself moving from that digital, like whatever. I'm still using my favorite ruler to space it out. I still will use a pencil. I make a lot of pencil, just like little quick marks, so I know like where to start and where to stop, because I'm not counting as I go down my pages. But it is one of those things, though, where it is a great resource at any time you're stuck. I forget that I have it. Honestly, I don't have it in a spot where I'm like, oh, Mark, remember you have this digital thing that has all these resources for you. But I love it. And I actually thought, I remember doing it. My wife was like, why are you doing that? She's like, you know what you should do? You should sell that as like a book, like of ideas. And I was like, that's really good idea. Like I have all kinds of fun stuff where I'll be like, oh, this is where you put a stamp if you want to, or this is where you can put stickers, like different ideas and shapes and stuff. Of course, I never followed through with it, but maybe in the future, you never know. I was just thinking though, like that is such a good resource to have for anytime you're stuck. And I don't know, we should probably put those out on the internet for other people in case they're stuck too. It is one thing when you see a spread fully done, but I think what I love most about it is seeing like the skeleton of what the idea is. I always love doing that because that's also how I plan my pages. Like structurally, what are the main areas and spaces? And then I like to add on top of that layer with something more designed, a sticker, a stamp, color, a doodle, whatever that might be. But I need to know that like functionally the space works first. And that's why I think I really do like those types of things, because it focuses so much more on that than the decorative part of it. Like that comes afterwards.
Yeah, I did use it to make a video at one point where I had set up kind of like, a bunch of different weekly layout ideas and then made those in the digital space and said like, hey, here's effectively like the schematic for the layout. So it's got like the dimensions and the doc grid numbers and all of that. So if you wanted to recreate this for yourself, this is the kind of template that you would use. Put that in that video. But in terms of the journal spread planner or whatnot that I use, I do sell that. It is on my little shop. It doesn't come like pre-populated with anything, but it does come set up for the different journal sizes. So we have like, different variants of the A5s, because sure, I use an Archer and all of it has certain dimensions, but there are other notebook companies that have other dimensions. But it's got like the B5 and the square and the B6 and all of that type of thing. In having that reference as well, and given the fact that I have that template with a bunch of different sizes, it does mean that anytime I change my notebook size, I don't have to go and set one up again from scratch. I've just got that template there that I can use. Very, very helpful, because like next year I'm moving into a square notebook, for instance. So rather than going and having to set up a, scaffold plan or whatever for myself, I've already got one in my bank. I can just go and use that. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and I always feel very proud when I do that, like in Excel, because I know you love Excel more than you love most people. So it makes me happy where I'm like, look at me using it. It's not the way that it was intended whatsoever, but I can make some magic happen here for sure. It is good. I need to pull that back up for myself.
Big recommendation, yes. And it's just, I love the fact that it just makes my journaling easier. It makes it faster, and it means that then I have like a resource for myself to use later on as well. Don't have to kind of start from scratch every single time. But moving away from our favorites into our not so favorites, what has been something that this year has stood out for you as a wah wah?
Yeah, so that would be Temu for me personally.
The entire site, the entire thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, you can get stuff cheap on there. Like, yes, I did like a bit of a partnership with them earlier to see like what it was all about. Yes, it is crap. Like, I do not find anything good. And the thing I was most bummed about are fountain pens off of Temu, because people would always tell me like, Mark, the pens you have are really expensive. Like the one I just showed you, like there's better versions or knockoff versions on Temu that you can get that work just as well. And so I was really excited to try that out. And I got these two different pens thinking like, okay, this is great. The problem is like, so this is the Temu one, and then this is like the platinum Curidas, right? Like, and I love this pen. They basically look almost exactly the same. Both of these pens dried out in a day, like really fast. Like I filled it, everything was great, used it, okay, awesome, went to go grab the pen the next day, and the nibs were already dried out. And it got to the point where I was keeping a little container of water on my desk and like dipping the nib to almost like undry and like re-wet the nib a little bit. And I was just like, this is not what a fountain pen experience is supposed to be. If I wanted to do that, I would get a dip pen, like, and I would dip it. I wouldn't have to worry about it. But I was really bummed about it. And they were like under $3. And I keep them for this exact reason, to be like, don't buy this crap off of Temu. Like, pony up and get the real thing, because this works and this works really well. It's just, this is wasteful. I'm really holding on to trash at this point. I will never fill these pens again, ever. And I'm literally just using them as an example. It's like, when they're doing like a don't drink and drive and they hold onto a car that's been in like a terrible car wreck. That's this.
Yeah, imagine the people who have been curious about fountain pens, gone to Google and been like, budget-friendly fountain pen or whatnot, found this $3 pen or whatnot, and got that. And that's their first experience. Like, that is their first experience with a fountain pen. And they're like, cool, fountain pens suck. They're trash. I don't want them. This is awful.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot, honestly. And I think it like really pushes people away from it and never wanting to use them again. And you can get fountain pens inexpensively. Like they don't have to cost hundreds of dollars. I have some nice ones that I got off of Amazon that cost under $15. You know, it's just like, are they as fancy and cool and like all this different stuff? No, but it's a fountain pen. You go to five and below, like buy one that already has ink filled in it. Those work better than the crap that I bought. So like I'm glad I didn't spend a lot on them because I would have been real pissed off. But I know some people who do buy off of that website. Maybe it's just the pens they buy or whatever, and they think it's the best thing ever. Like some of their favorite pens, I forget the name of it's like Jinho or something along the lines of that. It's like a generic version of whatever. People love those pens. They think they're fantastic. I did not buy that because I was just like, I don't need to. Let's see. Oh, these look cool. Bad decision. So of all things this year, I don't really, I mean, everything that was very good this year, I can say like for the most part, like I really just bought stuff that I knew that I wanted versus just trying. But that was one area where I was just really bummed about it because everyone told me how amazing it was going to be and they're just as good and all of this. And as soon as that happened and I tried and tried and tried, it didn't work. I was like, no, like you all are liars.
Yeah, I find that oftentimes one of the things that gets me in terms of disappointments is just having kind of expectations coming into something or having like overhype coming into something. You know, one of my notebooks that I got a couple years back or whatnot, I was so excited to get it. The cover was so beautiful. I'm like, yep, this is gorgeous. This is going to be my reading journal. I absolutely love this. And then I got it into my collection. I'm like, cool, the binding sucks, the corners are sharp, this notebook is aggressive, the dots are massive, they're a really dark gray, and they're not consistently 5 millimeters apart. So instant disappointment. Like, yes, the cover was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous notebook, but the disappointment factor was like so much higher because I had expectations like going into the thing. And that's not saying that we should purchase things without expectations. Like, that doesn't seem like a good system for purchasing things, but it can mean that like those items are the things that stand out as like a flop, a fail, didn't actually enjoy or like this.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I just ordered a hemlock and oak because a lot of people were telling me about the brand and like I should try it and it can work well with fountain pens. And I was kind of in the same boat. It was funny because I shared the picture with you. I was like, I got this. And the very first thing you said was those corners are very aggressive because they're not rounded corners, they're sharp corners. And I was just like, yeah. And I pen tested it in it. I'm working on a video right now on it because I'm comparing it to Archer and Olive because it is a high competitor for my next bullet journal in the new year to maybe try something different. I gotta see how it works. But it took a really like kind of long time to get here. It was coming from Canada. Not that it matters. Like I'm used to waiting. Arch and Olive doesn't come fast either necessarily. But I remember I opened it and there is no design on the cover because I don't personally think a lot of their designs fit my aesthetic. I'm finding new ways to say that like they're not very masculine looking. It doesn't
You were doing
fit my
so well. You were doing so well.
it doesn't fit my aesthetic. And I was just like, okay. And I got it. And it's like a nice color, but it has nothing on the front cover of it. It's just a color. And I was just like, like I'm still excited to use it. Don't get me wrong. And like really test it and really give it a good go. But that was something where I was like, yes, everyone told me it's great and it's awesome. And I can't wait. And I opened it. I was like, okay. So hopefully the usage is going to get me more excited than the not having a design on the cover. Like I bought it knowing there wasn't a design. I guess I didn't realize how much the design on the front of my notebooks like affects me in a positive way. So yeah, it is what it is.
You just have to whip that Cricut out and make yourself a nice vinyl decal to go around the outside.
No way. This is one of those things too, Jess, where like I paid full price for that notebook. And that's a thing that you and I don't often have to do. Like, I'm sorry. Like we have a lot of things that are sent to us, but I was just like, no, we're not doing anything to mess this up. Like I actually took it out of the packaging, looked at it, put it right back in the packaging and like put it in a box to the side until I was actually ready to use it because I don't want anything to accidentally get on it. I had ink spill on my desk earlier today. Like I would have lost it if I would have had anything on my desk. I've been very good about clean desk as I'm doing new things, but still, it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah, maybe I'm not as excited as I thought I was, but we'll see.
Yeah, don't turn it into a wreck this journal or anything like that. Get a giant ink splotch on the back of it. I do have one of my notebooks that has a stain on the back of it, and I have no idea how it got there because I only use it at my desk. I don't usually have things that would stain stuff on my desk. So I'm just like, suspect. Je ne sais pas. But I think that one of the points you made there, that idea that we do get sent a lot of stuff, which I am very grateful for, very, very grateful. But I do think that when it comes to one of my unfavorites for this year, that kind of process of being sent things from brands and such very much contributed to having a lot of this item and not necessarily loving that I now have a lot of this item.
Sing it, sister. What is it?
So at the start of this year, in going into my reading journal, I decided that I wanted to change up how I was doing my reading reviews. Last year and the year before, I had been using a very set formulaic structure that wasn't highly decorated, or at least it wasn't decorated in relation to the piece of media, and I was just getting really bored with it. But I was seeing a lot of people online doing collages of their journal reads, or like of their book reads rather, and putting in different elements related to that book so they could kind of just like live in the world a little bit longer. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's what I'm going to do with my reading reviews this year. But I'm going to need supplies to be able to do that. So I started collecting a heap of sticker books, like, those ones that have 20 sheets in them or something. They end up with like 200, 300, 600 plus stickers in them, which is great. But I don't have a good system for actually knowing what stickers I have. I kind of selected the sticker books because they weren't necessarily sent to me without me getting to select anything. It was like, hey, here's a voucher, you can get up to X amount on our shop. So I'd go and get sticker books because I'm like, oh, I need this for the reading journal. Need is a strong word. We're going to keep it in there, but, whatever. So bringing these into my stash, having all of these different collections, like travel-inspired ones or the denim-inspired ones or old times in Paris or whatever, I would try and pick ones related to things I could foresee myself reading about. But then when it came to doing the reading reviews, I didn't want to have to like give myself the homework of looking through all of the sticker books to find the perfect sticker to go with that book. And even then, oftentimes if I'm using like a character sticker, say, I want it to look like the character in the book. So it's like, okay, sure, this guy's in like a baseball jersey or something. She's talking shit. She doesn't know anything about sport, but whatever. He's in some kind of getup, but he's blonde and my main character has black hair. So like that doesn't work. We can't use that. I'd rather go and find fan art online or like sign up to somebody's Patreon to get images that they have like drawn and designed that actually look like the characters and print those off and stick those in, rather than using all of my oftentimes computer generated art that is in all of these sticker books. So I think that in bringing them into my collection, it is encouraging a bad habit for me. And I think that I'm at least going to stop buying them as a first point. But I think that having them here is just going to encourage me to continue collecting them. So I might let them go. Maybe.
I feel you on that. I mean, the sticker books are hard. I feel like there needs to be like a index or something in the front or in the back, where like you can be like look up by theme or by name or something like that, where it like collects them like that. I agree with you. It's difficult. I've been thinking about some different ways for me to do this myself. Like I have all the flake stickers and the regular stickers and they're different spots. And I thought like, what if I create like a visual library of them, and then like tag them and do something in Airtable and make it fancy. But then I was just like, that's a lot of work to do that. And I bought a book that was like, 1,000 ephemera stickers. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But it's the same thing. I flipped through it several times, like trying to be inspired by something that's in there, because they don't show you all, 55 pages with like all of the stickers. You get like little snapshots of it. The snapshots I saw, I really liked, but then it's just like the ones that I didn't see. I'm like, well, I would never use that. What do I do with this now? That's actually a really great idea. It would be cool if they could kind of organize them or theme them. I'm sure there are sticker books out there that do that, where it's just like, pages 1 through 10 are beach themed and, the next ones are fall themed, or, they kind of put them together for you. I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but like they curate the book for a specific reason.
Oh yeah, mine are like that. I have them, they're all kind of like a theme per pack. So it's like one of them is like ancient travel and it's all like, ancient landscapes and buildings and such. Or there's one that's like just beach and it's all like, beach themed, going to the beach picnic, yada yada type deal. But even then, I find that I'm not super savvy in knowing like what stickers are actually available in the books. Like I know the general theming, but I don't know what designs are in there. And it's like, okay, well, sure, I have this design, but it's a certain size and it won't fit in this spot. So it just becomes like way too much admin to use stickers, which, given that this is supposed to be like journaling, like a fun thing, I don't want to turn my fun thing into homework.
I'm just having this like epiphany right now. And of course, I'll never follow through on this. So if someone does this and not me, if you are a sticker company and you sell those type of books, you should create an online category where you could like search in a tag, and then it'll tell you what journal pack it's a part of, or what book pack it's a part of, what page it's on, and a visual of what it looks like. Like, how cool would that be if you had like a visual dictionary that was just like you said, like you would tag something like male, black hair. I don't know. Those are the two things you said. I don't know if you would even tag it that way, but it would then pull up like a digital library of all of that. And I mean, I feel like from a sales perspective, it's like, oh, I don't have that one, but that would fit perfectly. Add to cart. And like sell another one. Sorry for the overconsumption conversation again, but like you have to find that perfect one. That would be really cool to do, I think, personally.
Yeah, I think that for me, I would personally, moving forward, rather just buy smaller sets that are themed and that can like all matchy matchy. Because this is another issue I have with the larger sticker books, is that because they have so many things in there, having a consistent theme the whole way through, or something that is matchy matchy, given that I like that in most of my journal setups. Like for everyday journal setups in particular, I like to use materials that look like they belong together. So the like style of art is similar between each of them. The color palette is similar between each of them. When you have these larger sticker books, I can say like this, they're not even that big. They're like this big, but there's so many stickers in them. But because there are so many stickers, if you had them all be super consistent, super matchy matchy, it would be very one note, kind of bland. And nobody, I mean, I say nobody, I certainly do not need to use a full sticker book of stickers for one setup. So if we think about the amount of time that sticker book, based on the number of stickers in there, or like the volume, is going to last me, I'm never going to use all of these, especially because I couldn't be bothered going through them to find the sticker that in theory might fit the situation. So I would rather just buy smaller packs where everything kind of is cohesive and fits together nicely, and I have really good understanding as to what is in that sticker pack, because I will be more likely to use it. It will stick out more in my mind as something that I remember that I have in my collection, as opposed to, very absent-mindedly flicking through the book being like, oh, this is cute, this is cool, type of a deal, and then never really utilizing any of them.
I agree with you 100% there. I think it's hard. You feel like you're getting value when you're buying like a big giant pack of those things, but you're right. When you actually dig into it, you realize that I'm not going to use half of these in there. It does feel very wasteful. And like you said, you could be supporting a smaller shop or something like that. I've never thought of that's such a good idea. Like people that have sticker shops and that are artists, if you're like, oh, here's a book theme that you can buy, like the fairy porn, right? Like you could buy, a whole sticker pack. Just hates when I say that, because you're
so
like
reductive.
I'm so reductive. That's why I say it now. I don't mean to be that way, but like how great
He's
to be
rage
like,
baiting us. Don't worry about him. You just don't pay him no mind.
but it would be great to be like, oh, I can get this little fairy and a little loincloth, for my page, instead of like finding like a random fairy sticker book that you have to like customize.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the nice part about it, especially like supporting the people who are making fan art of things, because it's like, I know this matches the thing I've read. And if I want to make a collage with materials that look like the characters in the book, somebody has actually like put the time, effort, and energy in to make that for me, and I can give them a little kickback and have something that looks nice in my journal. So that's probably what I'm leaning towards. But Platter Pals, we want to hear from you. What have been your favorite supplies from this year? Either ones that just stood out as like, yes, I'm really utilizing this year. It's been in my collection for a while, but this was the year that I like doubled down on using it. Or it could be something you bought in new. Let us know in the comments here on YouTube. Or if you're over on Spotify, we have comments over there. We would love to read those. If you'd rather send us an email, it's cool. Mark will respond to you, I'm sure. That is plannerpalspodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram at plannerpalspodcast.
I laugh at that because I always think, I'm like, I wonder if Jess already responded to this person. And I was like, no, she didn't. I'll do it.
No, she did not. She reads it. She just doesn't respond.
Valid. That is just, from moving forward, we now know that it is a team norm. You will read them, You will not respond. Let Mark respond. Well, Planner Pals, this was amazing. Jess, thanks for sharing your favorites. I think I might have to look into your sticker storage. I know I just said I already have it, but like, I really like your idea. That's why episodes like this are so great. I can't wait to hear what y'all are chatting about inside of the comment section and telling us what to go for and what to stay away from this year. So Planner Pals, we'll talk to you next time. See ya.